All right. It's 2016, February 11th, WikiSpeed Standup. Um, Real quick, we'll go through what we got done last week and what we plan on doing next week, and if we have any blocks. So last week, um, I integrated. Well, here I had to integrate a backlog plugin for Slack. Was what the story was. So I ended up using Trello, which I know we've used in the past, and there were some things about it we weren't fond of. I don't know if they've made improvements to it, but I really haven't found any problems with it yet. It has a smartphone app, um, as does Slack, and the integration seems to work really handy with each other when you're out, on the go. In the shop, I tested the drill press, which was a failure, and then I uttered some foul language. But I disassembled and spent most of the build party driving around the Metroplex, but was able to exchange it for what I had as the original model with no damage. Got it assembled and basically turned it on for a test. And as far as that goes, everything looks good. Um, and I know that there was a lot of other little minor things that I think I took care of, but I really have no idea what they were at this point. For next week, I need to forward info at wikispeed.org to info at wikispeed.com, just in case people end up sending mail there, because that's our web domain. And I still need, okay, so I'll set up a test event in the event manager, see how it displays on the website. I plan on doing that this last week, but I just did not get to it. So Sunday for the build party, I'm hoping I get to go over there, but I'm not sure since it's Valentine's Day. I may be kind of booked up. Um, if I get to the shop, the plan is to drill 4 angle plates, and then drill 4 chassis tubes, and then attempt to assemble basically what would be the front cross beams of the chassis. So the 4 tubes, I think were they 40-inch for the width, and I think it's 10 or 12 inches tall. Either way, so basically try to build the front piece of it and see how that goes as a test case. And that would be it for me. I don't have any blocks, so you can go ahead, Michael.
Okay, I had a rather busy week. I think Saturday is when I received the suspension from Joe. So I unpacked it. I've got video of that, but it's not edited and posted yet. I brought in the 4, I'm going to call them the side rails, the 10-foot long tubes that go from the front to the back of the car. I got those drilled and bolted to the suspension. It's not tight, it just kind of sits there. I took a little bit of video and a few pictures. I ended up using one of the tubes that I was wanting to use for the car. I ended up using it for another project, so I had to buy some more stuff on Monday. And I got it cut up to the 4 40-inch tubes that go across and the 6 12-inch tubes that go vertical on the frame. I found that cutting them just a teeny bit short and having the holes with the angle bracket actually make up the full 12 inches or the 40 inches probably works better than if it's a 16th too long and you have to go back and cut it again to make it fit. Having trouble getting stuff square. Lots of fun drilling the angle brackets. Drill bits were destroyed. First thing was done. Anyway, I got 4 brackets done, and I've assembled sort of the front square that you just mentioned, which is why I know there's not 12 inches tall and 4 inches wide. But I have some issues trying to get things square. And I posted a demo video that should be finished processing now, so anybody that wants to go see it, I loaded it on the WikiSpeed channel, since I think it's under 4 minutes. What else did I do? Cleaning up a lot, I guess, is the last of it. I got the DC controller ordered from Paul last week, and Joe's been talking with Paul about getting possibly 2 controllers. And I found out that the third AC controller that Paul has built was sold to a guy that's going to be using it for drag racing, and he was promised to do video and a little bit of a manual on how to set everything up and use a new motor with it and stuff, which is cool. Going to be posting it. So that was last week. This coming week, unfortunately, the weekend is going to be kind of taken up by the Valentine's. I should get some video edited and posted. And I am hoping to, instead of next Monday to work on stuff, it's going to be next Friday, actually. So that's after our next stand-up. So it'll be kind of limited to what I'm doing this coming week. And I believe I have no block that anybody can help me with. And that should be it.
Cool deal. You are you killed it this week, man. Okay, so that I'll just ask. I don't think there's anybody on the phone part, but so there's no one on the call that has a stand up that hasn't yet given it. All right, so that brings us to a retrospective, and I'll say a 9 for me. I think really for this week that would have been a 10, except there were actually two things I pulled into the sprint that I was, really had no time to get done, and I should have foreseen that. And I'm, a little. I feel like I've gotten stuck on trying to make these angle brackets too precise when really the done is getting the chassis assembled. So basically, the next time I'm in the shop, that will be the goal. Of course, I want to build the parts with quality, so I do want them to be, precise. But I also the main priority is to get the chassis assembled. And definitely a 10 for the team. It seems like there is more activity each week going on, and with the use of Slack and the integration of Trello, it just seems like it's much easier getting information near immediately. If you have any blocks or questions or just any discussion or frustrations, so definitely a 10 for the team. And this week I don't have anything for process improvement, and that would be it for me.
So I'm going to give myself a 9 as well. And I'm going to go with 10 for the team because things are happening. I'm always expecting myself to do more than I get done. And I don't know if I've ever gone over 9.5 for myself, but anyway. Process improvement. I think the easiest and quickest bang for the buck is Trello. So what I'm going to try to do, or what I suggest that we do, is that anything that we pull off of the emails or that we think is interesting, get it posted to, I think it's Digest, so that it gets summarized every week. And there was actually a discussion that we had on email that Joe suggested putting onto Slack. I think it should be put on the Slack, but I think it should also be in the Digest. So I'm going to try and see if it makes any sense posting it as an email or if I should post it as separate messages. I'll play around with that a little bit. Or maybe you want to play around with that a little bit. I don't know what exactly the format should look like, especially when you put it on Slack, because it all comes from one account, but you're going to read that it came from somebody else. Anyway, I think that's doable. And what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree. So I'll reword it and see if we're on the same page here. So basically, the ability to archive each week the interesting topics, preferably in Slack and at the Google group. To me, one advantage of that is that I read that for the free Slack account that it only archives 10,000. The last 10,000 messages. So at some point, this stuff will start dropping off and will no longer be searchable. Whereas Google Group is going to be there, probably forever. So does that sound about the same?
Yeah. Any idea how we get? Um, I guess I guess same question. How we get an email to make sense posted to Slack, and then after you post it to Slack, now you're going to archive it in email, and it's going to be even more confusing.
Yeah. So I would say because that's sort of like doing two different things, and for a process improvement, we can try one thing. So at this point, maybe we should try the side of archiving Slack to the Google group, since the Google group is traditionally used by more users. We've just started using Slack, and there's a handful of people that are actively using it. Um, and like I said, the main thing is that the emails will be there forever, but the Slack will go away. So if we could attempt to archive the week's worth of Slack information into the Google group as one process improvement to try.
Okay, I can agree with that.
Okay, and I have no idea how we're going to do that. So, but that's of course what we'll attempt to do. So, okay, so I believe that wraps up all the essential ceremonies and brings us into open discussion. Did you have anything you wanted to discuss right off the bat, Michael?
Um, I'm still. I'm not sure what I'm going to use my drill press for. I still have no usable way to get the drill press level with anything else, so that I can drill holes that are moderately straight. Using a hand drill and the step bit, I can do that faster than I can set up the drill press. So, my drill press still sits in the corner, and I continue to use the step drill.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'll see the next time I'm in the shop if my drill press is going to end up being a coat rack or not. So, but hopefully, it's actually I know that it's completely level. I checked that when I installed it, but again, like I think the issue that you're having is when you're trying to drill into long tubing. I've got nothing around it that I could set the other end of the tube on to level it. I could maybe build something out of stuff that's there, but currently I don't have anything I can just push into place and use. So.
So the other thing is, if you're going to use a step drill, I don't know what you're doing with the drill press. If you're drilling 3/8 direct, or whether if you're stepping up your sizes, like going with a pilot hole and then 2 or 3 different drill bit sizes between there and 3/8.
Yeah, I'm using a center bit. It's like our countersink bit. So it's because it's shorter. It causes less wobble. You're going to get less ride. So you're basically have a better chance of getting right into the center punch mark. But yeah. So I don't know what shit. If 2 weeks ago I would have known exactly what size it was. But I think they only come in 3 sizes, and I think it's like the medium size. But the way it's like it's like a shaft, and then like it's got that countersink part on it, and then a smaller bit on the end, and then it's kind of pointed also. So I drill the hole for the end piece, and before it starts on the countersink, and that gives me a hole to get the 3/8 drill, or well, actually I use the size W drill bit into. So it's basically the same thing as drilling a pilot hole. It's just that it should be more sturdy than using a smaller drill bit.
Yeah, the smaller drill bits tend to wobble quite a bit. So.
Right, exactly. So that's the point. Is it's real short and real solid, and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because
that part actually seems to work okay. Yeah.
I've been having a little bit of trouble with breaking bits. So.
Right. I'm assuming that's the ones you're using for the pilot hole, right?
Yeah. Actually, I ran out of 1/8, and I'm now using 7/64.
Okay. I guess that's just for do you have on your hand drill, or you can adjust the speed?
Oh yeah, it's a cordless drill.
Okay. So I haven't exactly perfected what speed. It's the recommendation for aluminum for a 3/8 inch drill bit is, I believe, 1,500 RPMs on a drill press, right? Um, but I've been running
Wow.
it. Yeah, it's way too fast. What it does when you, well, for one thing, it causes a lot of vibration in the drill press. So I also read that you can, of course, go slower if there's a lot of vibration. But at that speed, it chips the metal away like
Hmm.
uh, really quickly. But if you slow it down, it really, I don't know which is better, but if you slow it down, it tends to like, the metal comes out like a corkscrew. I think it's somewhere
Hmm.
in between those two is where I actually need to be, but I haven't figured out the best speed on that setup yet. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, so I don't know if on a hand drill if trying different speeds would help with braking it, and also maybe a little cutting oil. But I'm assuming it's just braking from the downward pressure of pushing on it.
No, it's breaking from the lateral pressure of me not being able to hold it straight while I'm
Oh,
pushing
okay,
down.
okay, yeah, um, yeah. I saw
So
this.
with the step drill,
I've seen.
the step drill is 1/8, or sorry, 1/8, 3/16, quarter, 5/16. So it's like all these drill bits stacked up,
Right,
and you just
exactly.
keep pushing through.
Right,
Um, the fastest speed I've got on the drill works okay on the 3/16, and then as you get to larger and larger circumference, you actually slow it down a little bit, or otherwise it's pretty bad.
right.
And then when you get to I think it's 7/16 is where I stop. At 7/16, it's actually only maybe 500 RPM.
Okay.
Like it's nowhere near 1,500.
Right, right. Um, yeah, and like I said, I've been keeping it closer to 900. 900 is what would be used for steel on a 3/8 inch bit. But of course, the aluminum being a little softer, you can go a little faster. But also, so are you just? I mean, the drill bits. Do you know what material they are?
Um,
Is it just called?
there's something that you get at Harbor Freight. They call them titanium coated or something
Okay,
like
that's
that.
actually the same thing I got. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, they have high speed steel, titanium
Yeah.
coated, and then they have carbide. So the titanium coated is the middle one. And that's the set that I purchased the like 115 drill bits in or something. But I
Yeah.
think that after looking into it, um, I don't know that there's any advantage to the titanium over high speed steel. But I do have a couple of carbide bits that somebody loaned me that I'm using that actually seem to work a little bit better. So, but that
Okay.
could just be because it's
Well,
from a better manufacturer. I have no idea. I mean, they seem a little more precise.
when I go too slow for the smaller drill bits, the aluminum melts
Hmm.
and it clogs up the bit,
Right.
and then you have to pull it out and clean it. Whereas if you go fast enough, the material, like the part that you're drilling, doesn't actually seem to get very hot. It's almost like the little curly pieces of metal take away the heat.
Right. Right.
So,
Um, yeah, exactly. Aluminum's better at, I guess, not dispersing the heat. Actually, yeah. On a lot of the holes that I've drilled that have not passed, because it gets bound up, or I couldn't get the speed right, or that first drill press I was using, there was all kinds of issues with it. But most of it, there's melted bits stuck to the inside of the hole.
mm-hmm.
I mean, I have gotten some clean holes that look good, and I mean, I know what they're, I know I can get them the way they're supposed to be because I've actually made a few like that. But yeah, for the most part, I'm trying to figure it out. There was a lot of melted metal inside the hole, kind of stuck around the edge.
Okay. I haven't had the stuck around the edge. I mean, when you're punching through, I've had the little pieces that kind of bend out and need to be filed off, but they're not really melted. I've all the melting I've had is on the drill bits.
Oh, okay, interesting. Um, yeah, for after I drill the hole, I tested that. I've got what the fuck's it called? It's like a pipe. It's used for if you cut a pipe and it's got the sharp edge, so it cuts a little chamfer on
Deburring
it.
tool.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why I couldn't remember the name of that. That's what I've been using on the holes, and that seems to clean it up pretty good too.
Yep.
So, But really, it's
Okay.
not. It doesn't seem like they're too sharp on their own when they're drilled right.
Yeah, when I got the aluminum tube cut at the vendor so that it would fit into my SUV, they have a metal blade on their chop saw. So I expected it to be a clean cut. I think it was spinning too fast
Hmm.
because it was almost melted along the edge of the aluminum,
Right.
and it looked like crap, and it wasn't square either.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, if I do well, not if, it's something when I do a full iteration of this again, um, actually, I'll still say if because it may not pass at all. Using these angle brackets may be a horrible idea. I have no idea. We haven't validated it yet. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna purchase some pre-drilled, probably water cut. Just that way they show up and they're ready to go instead of me hassling with it and it being dependent on my skill level.
Yeah, I know it's we're kind of trying to set it up for do it yourself, but it sure takes an awful lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, there's still the concept of do it yourself by buying a kit. So, I mean, so I don't think it's cheating, especially in the idea of Scrum. I mean, if you can't do something, you get help, right? That's
Yeah, that's true.
the main point is getting stuff done, not worrying about how it got done.
Yeah, and if someone wants to make it with hand tools, I'm sure it's possible. It's just going to take an awful lot of time and elbow grease.
Well, the key WikiSpeed chassis, which I would have loved to have gotten into the shop so I could see how I mean, get my hands on it. Basically, I've seen how they did it, but that was all made with hand tools, and they used um, the same concept of the brackets, only they used steel. It looked like maybe something that you would use to build like railroad cars or something like that. But yeah, it was just these little steel thin plates that they, I believe, riveted several rivets in, and because they were so thin, they were able to put it in more places than the ones that I designed. With it not interfering with the interior and engine module.
Right. With the bolt together engine module, you can actually accommodate those angle brackets in the corners
I
of the space
noticed
where the
that.
engine module fits.
Yeah, I noticed that, and that may be after I get this thing completely assembled. If it looks like this is not structural, there needs to be some more support. I'm going to keep that in mind. So I have some other places to add brackets if necessary.
Yep.
I mean, in the original design, the concept was do not interfere with any of the iterations of the previous interior or motor module, or the pedal plate or
Right.
anything like that. So yeah.
Yep. And anything that you can do to achieve that is great. But again, you still have to make it work, and you still got to stay together.
Yeah, and I mean, if it works, and that's the version of the interior module, or the engine module that we're using, then it's all well and good. That's just a configuration criteria.
Mm-hmm. Anything else on the computer that we really need to talk about? Don't think
Um,
so.
I don't know. I just say that I've been using Trello some. I actually my Kanban board I got up here on the wall, well behind y'all basically. I put that all into to a Trello board, and it really seemed to speed up how fast I was able to get stuff done. That's like my honeydew list basically, and a few other things that I needed to get taken care of. But one of the reasons I chose Trello was because I've not verified this, but it can be used offline. If you're on the web page and your internet goes down, or if you're using the phone app and you're in airplane mode or you're disconnected, you can still make those. You can still make changes and updates, and then that just syncs back up whenever you log back on. I have no idea how it deals with conflicts, but I really don't think we'll run into that
Mm-hmm.
much. It seems actually for us, it's very seldom that two people that are not aware of it are working on the same card at the same time. Um, so I don't even think it would be an issue necessarily. But
No, I think most of the access stuff is for being able to see it offline,
Right.
so that you can read it or reference it or whatever.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Because that's the thing is it's so easy. It's so easy to forget what. You got a list of 10 things to get done. You're going to forget a few. But also because of
Mm-hmm.
information, I mean, it seems like all of the advantages that Carica had with being able to attach files and be able to tag cards and assign people and due dates, that all exists. It loads much faster, and there's an app on my phone that makes it far easier to use. The integration into Slack makes it so that you don't have to really jump into Trello until you need to. If you see, because you'll see all the updates right there, and from Slack you can click the link and it takes you into Trello for whatever
Yeah.
card's being updated. So I don't know. To me it works great. I would like to see people try to use it, and if they have any complaints about it, just so we can figure out what we need to do about it. But yeah, that's it.
So maybe I will move my car assembly. I don't really have it on Carica, so maybe I'll put that on Trello. Can you do subcards? That was one of our wish list items.
You just reminded me. So one thing that it has that I think that you've been looking for, that Carica did not, is it has checklist. So in a card, you can create a checklist of if something needed to be done in a certain order, and it's literally a checklist. So you can check off each one as it's done, and then from the card view, from the outs, on the board, you see how many of the checklist items have been checked out of the total. I don't know about the concept of subcards, but that's probably about as close as it gets.
So with the list, you can't make each item on the list a card?
Okay. I believe that you can turn you can turn any of those checklist items into a card. I know that because I did that. The one thing I did not like about it is you cannot copy and turn it into a card. So when you turn it into a card, it actually disappears from the checklist.
Oh, okay.
But it will create one because I basically had to do that. But you can copy cards too. So like in my honeydew list, I've had different ways of, like, I've got a list of repairs that need to be done on my wife's car. So that's a checklist. But as I start working on them, it becomes a series of cards, like purchasing, figuring out what the hell's wrong, and then purchasing the part, and then installing the part. But it seems to it works well, and it works just as well from the phone, I think, as it does from the desktop. The interfaces are slightly different, but it still works really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give Trello a try for the car assembly task list, and we'll see how it works for me.
Awesome, cool. And that's really all I got tonight, man.
Okay, well, I'm gonna give the archive thing an attempt here tonight and see if I can figure out how to do the archive. I read something about an HTML file, but dissecting the HTML to just get the plain text would be painful.
True, but if you get the HTML file and you open it up, you can copy and paste what's there, and there won't be any HTML in it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Okay, so you can just copy and paste the formatted text into a new message, kind of thing.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd give
it a try.
Yeah, give it a shot anyway. Okay, cool deal, man. All right, well, we will see you next week and talk to you a bunch on Slack, probably.
All right.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.